Hello friend, today I want to share a brief summary about global public transport trend. Over the period of time I'm traveling around the world and I have observed many new things happening in different cities. It's important to see and connect these dots to understand how they are reshaping our society. Before jumping into the global public transport trend, I want to highlight that these public transport trends are impacted by the overall change in the mobility pattern, how the mobility sector is changing around us, how the technology is impacting the way we are traveling, how the technology is reshaping the whole sector. It's important to see how these mobility trends are impacting how the public transport sector is evolving. And beside public transport sector, we need to also understand how our society in generally is evolving. We can see the people are aging, the young population is coming into the field, and then people preference are changing because of the new technology. So let's deep dive into how these global trends are shifting the mobility trend and public transport trend. And one thing I want to highlight, and I joke with people, currently we see when we go in the buses and train that how people are traveling. We see full of people. But fast forward in next 15 year, will it be same or will we see humanoids traveling with us? And it's funny. It's look funny like we will be traveling with some humanoid, but it's not a far distance dream anymore. You can see the development happening in humanoid. And I don't know, and I'll not be alive for 2100, but is it possible that there'll be no human and we'll be transporting more humanoids who are working on behalf of us? Again, I'm not a future teller. I'll not be around in 2100, but let's see how it will span out. Now look at the top 10 public transport trend, how they are reshaping our sector. So one biggest trend I'm seeing over the period of time, that big investment is going into urban rail sector and BRT project. So many cities are looking to invest into the urban rail and BRT so that they can increase the throughput. We are seeing the new system emerging in many cities, and many cities are looking to extend. But is it same everywhere? That's not the truth. What we are seeing is many cities in Asia are leading in the development of rail infrastructure. We see huge investment going in some of these countries, whereas we see slowdown in US where there are not many major rail projects. Instead, the cities are looking to extend some of the existing line or build a new BRT line. Latin America, we see the first rail system in Bogota. In Metro Bogota is building their first metro line after the success of their high capacity BRT corridor. Europe is putting big investment, especially during the Olympics. They made a commitment to extend the Paris system, but we see similarly trend in Madrid and Berlin and many other cities are expanding. China is leading. They are far more ahead in terms of development of rail infrastructure. So you can see world over, cities are making huge investment and trying to see electrification. A lot of people feel it's not a trend anymore, and not many cities are investing into electrification. But I can confirm it's still a global trend. Many cities are looking to move away from fossil fuel and invest in electrification of buses. Some of the cities are rethinking their approach, not because of anything else, but because of the technology availability, geopolitical region, physical requirement, and the financial price of these buses. But it's not the same way it's happening around the world. So what you can see is Asia, especially China, is far ahead leader in terms of electrification of buses. India is catching up very soon. Singapore also now inducting more and more electric buses, whereas MENA is start picking up in Dubai, in Saudi Arabia. They have a big plan to replace the existing fleet with the electric buses. Qatar is one of the shining example where they have the world largest electric bus depot. Europe have now moved up from the trial phase to the scale up phase, and they are growing very fast. Whereas we see some slowdown in US given the supply chain constraint and the price of these buses, it's very expensive, three times the cost of the existing fossil fuel buses. Canada, some of the cities are moving ahead, but we also see some slowdown mainly because of the supply chain issue. Whereas Latin America is moving fast forward. Many of these countries are importing buses from China, which are much cheaper and affordable, and they are accelerating the deployment of electric buses. Africa is still very young in the game. They are doing some pilot. We see Kenya, where they are looking to convert all their matatu fleet into electric. Whereas Australia, New Zealand, we see some slowdown. Again, these are reason because of the supply chain constraint and availability of buses in the local market. AI is clearly a trend. We see huge acceleration in the deployment of AI for public transport sector, and the use cases are growing. And again, not all the cities are at the same level. What we see again, Asia is leading in terms of deployment and the implementation of AI. US, we see more growth in the private sector compared to the public sector. But again, some of the cities are now implementing real use cases. We see some cities are implementing 3D, some cities are using virtual reality for training of their staff and preventive maintenance. We see a lot of cities are now using for bus lane enforcement, a lot of AI tool. MENA Dubai has a clear strategy to update a lot of their infrastructure using AI, and they have identified 81 projects. So we will see big growth. Europe, again, it's great to see that many of these transit agencies or public transport sector is implementing AI tool for predictive maintenance and operation excellence. Ticketing is another key area where we see a lot of cities are moving toward unified ticketing, big growth in open loop payment system. And then we see a lot of cities are moving cashless payment system, especially after the COVID. So again, what's happening around the world? Europe, we see some good example. Paris is now looking to deploy open loop payment across their lines. China, India, Singapore, Malaysia, they are some of the leader in terms of deployment of unified ticketing and payment option. Australia just started moving forward with the open loop payment, and they want to increase the deployment of open loop payment around their system. US, many systems are going through the transformation. They are implementing the new smart ticketing option along with EMV. Washington, D.C., they recently introduced open loop ticketing. Canada, again, they have Interact and they introduce open loop ticketing. In fact, TransLink Vancouver is going through a tendering process to implement a new generation of ticketing option. Similarly, Mexico was a little behind, but now we see many cities are there going toward the unified ticketing and smart ticketing options. Accessibility is becoming a hot topic. Many cities are looking how to be more accessible, and they want to promote their system. And many cities are looking to make their system usable for all kind of users. So what's happening? What we see is a lot of cities are enacting a new law which make it mandatory to have accessible public transport system. Like you see in Chile, they are focusing 100% accessible metro policy. In Mexico City, they are putting greater focus for new infrastructure to be more accessible. US, many cities are retrofitting, especially MTA New York, investing huge money to make all their station accessible. It's a big challenge, but possible. UK again did a lot of retrofitting, and they want to implement elevators in many of their stations to make it accessible. What we see in Singapore and other Asian countries where the population is aging fast, so they have to make sure some measure to ensure the people with some kind of a disability, both visible and invisible, like dementia and aging problem, they are looking to implement accessible public transport by introducing a ambassador program and a volunteer program. So there are a lot of investment going into this area, and we will see more acceleration in coming years. In the first slide, I mentioned about big investment going into the new rail project. And now I'm telling about increasing challenge with the funding and financing, both for CapEx and OpEx. Given a lot of projects were passed in the past and they have some committed funding, so they are going toward implementation. But the challenge is how to keep running this system. And OpEx is becoming a big issue in many cities around the world. So city need to be creative and look how they can implement the new system and keep them running. So some of the cities are looking PPP option. So public-private partnership can be an opportunity to shift some of the risk to the private sector, at the same time reduce costs for the city, or have a stagger payment option. Other city, for example, in Canada, they are looking TOD. In US, some of the cities are looking how they can do land value capture to fund some of the public transport infrastructure. Asia, again, Thailand, Singapore, they are looking how to fund the new public transport infrastructure, either entering into partnership with the private sector or getting more support from the government. In China, they are one of the leader in developing the good rail and public transport infrastructure, but the challenge is now how to fund these big infrastructure projects. So they are looking actively the rail and land model to fund these infrastructure. So it'll be important for these city not to just build these new infrastructure, but how they can fund these infrastructure. The other key trend we see across the globe is about skill gap. The cities are implementing new solution. Now they need manpower to run these systems. So skill gap is a critical challenge and growing need for many of these cities. You need new kind of a talent to run these system. So driver is a big challenge. You need drivers to run the system. We see a big challenge with many city where there is a driver shortage, especially in Europe, Singapore, in Australia, in US, where there is a huge shortage for the driver to run these buses. But the other big challenge is how they can attract some of these new talent for fill technology related job. They need many of these agencies now need a cybersecurity expert, data experts, use these tool. They're also looking how they can attract some of the brightest people in civil engineering, electrical engineering for implementation of new kind of a fleet. So it's a big challenge, and many cities are looking for innovative solution to overcome this. Autonomous vehicle is another global trend. What we are seeing is many cities are now looking how to accelerate the deployment of autonomous vehicle in their city. The key challenge is will the public sector will be the first beneficiary or the private sector will overtake. So what we see it's not equal deployment across the globe. In North America, especially in US, where there is a huge development going on into autonomous mobility, it's the private sector and ride hailing sector which is leading. We don't have any big project for autonomous buses pilot. Whereas Singapore is adopting a completely different approach where they are looking not just the robo taxi but also robo buses, and they are looking to procure some buses for pilot. China is also quite advanced in implementation of autonomous mobility. There are many companies which are implementing these autonomous vehicles, but the key challenge is how they can overcome the manpower issue and the unemployment issue. Europe, we see big development for autonomous buses, many shared vehicle, and now we see Waymo is entering into the UK market and some of the European city. So it'll be interesting to see how things will span out. And I would say Middle East is also one of the place where many of these companies are looking to go and implement the solution owing to their acceptability for this innovative solution. They're also facing challenge with the manpower, so autonomous vehicle can help them to overcome these challenge. Travel behavior is changing. People are changing their pattern, especially after the COVID. And many cities are now looking how they can implement travel demand management practices. They are looking how to make a city more walkable, more car free, and make infrastructure more integrated. So what we see even in Middle East, in Dubai, they have policy to make Dubai walkable city. Riyadh is looking to make big investment into infrastructure to make it much more walkable. Similarly, in Asia, they are looking to invest big way into cycling and walking infrastructure. We already know the Singapore model for car licensing, but other cities are taking cues. For example, South Korea, they are implementing new project to have this green transport zone. New Zealand, Australia are looking how to restrict parking or make it much more expensive so that people can shift toward public transportation. India is looking to promote e-mobility and micro-mobility to encourage people to more walk and take bicycles. So it's a global trend. We see many cities are now looking to invest to make it much more sustainable. And one idea could be how can you make your public transport infrastructure much more integrated with first and last mile connectivity. And the last trend, large events are an opportunity to develop public transport infrastructure. So what we see around the world, which is a global trend, people more and more are interested to go for live event. This is one of the key trends. People want to go out of their home. They want to experience a new thing. That's why we see record breaking attendance for live event, concerts, matches, football games, cricket. And why? Because people want to go away from their home and work office and attend these events. So it's a big trend. Many cities, especially those who don't have a developed infrastructure yet, they want to use this opportunity to build infrastructure, new infrastructure for the city and create a legacy. We saw the games happening in Paris where they build a lot of new infrastructure. US, Canada, and Mexico will be hosting FIFA 2026, where they are investing in many new projects to make sure the passenger journeys are seamless. We will see more of these projects coming to Saudi Arabia in 2034, Morocco in 2030, where there will be an opportunity for city to invest in the public transport infrastructure. So these are the global top 10 trends which are actually reshaping the public transport infrastructure around the world. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. If you want to stay connected, please follow us, and you can also reach out if you have any further question. Thank you so much.